Welcome to our show today for number 868. This is a Tuesday, our first Tuesday in our fall, our autumn up here. It's those of you down under, it's spring season for you all, of course. Julia Vadekins, my co-host. She is here as usual, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. We are in Studio B here in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District, where it is going to be warm today, Julia. Is this our warmest day of the year?
Yes.
Go ahead. Our warmest day of the year?
It's going to be even up to 80 in San Francisco today.
80? Right here in the Marina?
Yeah.
Wow, that's warm. We've got a lot of people checking in with us already because we have a great show. Pedro is listening in. He's in Formia in Italy with John Emmett. We'll tell you about that. We have a PPP today, Julia.
Oh, good.
Pedro's personal perspective he sent in this morning. Larry Kennedy's in the FIDI, landlocked the rest of the week, unfortunately. He's not out helping at the 6 Meter Worlds in Sewanaka. I thought he might be.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Worley saying hi from here from NorCal, presumably. Alistair Murray, G'day from Metong. It's 0602 in Metong, east of Melbourne in Australia. Ted Ryman in Cape Town in the Republic of South Africa. Jamie Hutchison, hello, Jamie. Alan Long, Chris Exley, Fritz Mueller in Miami. Mark Holland, north of Boston. Nice to see you all and many others on already. Let's get this show, Julia, on the road. Our starting line today, same photo I used from that yacht club in Berlin the other day. Happy Tuesday and Happy New Year for what small but active Middle Eastern sailing nation?
Middle Eastern sailing nation.
Yeah, Happy New Year for that nation. Mary Jude's checking in from Philadelphia. Jody Shields from Wanji, while Julie is pondering the question of what are we celebrating today. Happy New Year for what small but active Middle Eastern sailing nation. They've won a gold medal, in fact. Coaching corner, John Emmett. He's leading the ILCA 6 Masters, at least in his division.
Oh, is he? Good.
In Formia. And PPP, as promised, there's some alliteration, Pedro's personal perspective. He also is at the 2025 ILCA World Masters and racing, although they didn't let his legends, that's the oldest group, did not let them race today because they were afraid of thunderstorms, apparently. Sail GP, we'll wrap that up for you, the 2 light air days of racing in Geneva. Germany has won their first ever Sail GP regatta. And it's probably the last event ever in Geneva, Julia.
I think so. It's really good. Everybody's so excited to finally get some air and never came.
Oh, gosh, it was painful.
It was. I finally turned it off. I'm sorry.
World Women's Match Racing Championship, the 5th win for Pauline Courtois and co. Match in pink. They won. She's, of course, the French lady who has been dominant in World Women's Match Racing. She won in Chicago over the weekend. 52 Super Series. Sled has the early lead in Sardinia. We don't have any video yet. We'll tell you what we do know so far from today, day one of that, of the final. The finale going on in Sardinia at Yacht Club Costa Smeralda. The last leg, 6 Meter Worlds. It's light but raceable. They did get one race in, one race only today in Oyster Bay at Sewanaka Corinthian Yacht Club. We have Peter Taylor and others there reporting in. So we've got our Fozy all over the world.
Great. Checking
in, submitting, producing, helping us to produce this show. This Day in History, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and of course our fantastic Fozy. Chat. In the chat, as usual, there is Clayton Embley checking in, Chris Exley, and others already in the chat for today's show. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. And let's talk a little bit about what happened here just before 0300 on yesterday morning, Julia.
Yes.
Did you even wake up? You're a veteran of these things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was awake, actually.
You were already awake at 03. It just, what was it, at 2:50 something?
Yeah.
We did have a quake. Thank you for all of your kind. We had a lot of notes from people saying, "Hey, are you okay? What happened?" It was nearby. I never know because I'll sleep through the start of World War III. You know, I sleep like a log. But over in the East Bay, that's Berkeley, over there where the red dot is. And apparently it happened, this quake took place on the Hayward Fault, which is one of the two big faults running up here through the, you know what the name of the other fault is besides the Hayward Fault?
San Andreas.
San Andreas. It's not the somebody said it's the asphalt, but it's not the asphalt. It's not the asphalt. It's the San Andreas.
There is an asphalt.
That's here. That happens on this show sometimes. So it happened over there in the East Bay. It was not huge. It was a magnitude 4.3, but it did wake just about everybody up here in the Bay Area, including Julie and myself. And
it was just a short. It was just one junk.
It really was. I mean, I never know how long it's been going on until I wake up. But when I did wake up, it just was kind of one crack. It was one short, sharp crack. You rattle those doors next to you. Just push those closet doors. You got to pull the door off. Come on, make some noise, Julia. There. Those doors in this 100-year-old apartment, there you go. That's what woke me up. Not here in the studio, but in they can't call it master bedroom anymore. It's the primary bedroom.
Yes.
You can't call it master bedroom.
Oh.
Huh?
All right.
I don't know why. I guess it's considered a racist term. Gordon Smith learned a new word. We were texting shortly after that quake. I put a text on the Fozzie chat and said...
a Timbler?
Somebody said a tremor, which is obviously one word used to describe a quake, but temblor is Spanish, and that's the Spanish word for kind of a middling earthquake, which this was.
Yeah.
Anyway, no problems here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. No problems anywhere of which I'm aware. The question now, Julie, is is this a precursor to something bigger, or has it released some of the stress and attention and energy down under? Not meaning Australia and New Zealand, but down under the crust here of the earth.
Yeah.
And are we going to be good to go here for another 100 years?
Well, not 100 years. We're overdue, but that's not necessarily a precursor of anything.
So the big one's coming.
Oh yeah, it'll come.
You promise.
But I hope none of us see it. Yeah.
Okay, that was Monday at just shortly before 0300 here in San Francisco. No big deal, but thanks again for your kind comments. And then, of course, also on Monday, a little bit later, Monday morning at 11:19 our time, 18:19 UTC. Of course, it was the September. We used to call it the autumnal equinox, the fall equinox, but we can't do that because we're ecumenical. And we have a September equinox, which is our fall equinox or autumnal equinox. But for those of you down under, it's your spring equinox. And we hope you all had a great celebration of that day when night and day are more or less precisely the same length as the sun crosses the horizon and starts to shine more of its energy on the southern hemisphere. One hears it was her fault. Dogzilla monster. Tremor Illustrated, knee trembler. Gordon Smith's got a knee problem. So we're going to dedicate something to him about his knee today in the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Mexicans call it a knee trembler. I don't know about that, but I guess it is. A temblor.
Temblor.
Well, Julia, what are we celebrating today?
Started from.
No.
Well, that looks like...
I said it's a new year.
Yeah. Oh, yes. All right.
For what country?
Rosh Hashanah? Rosh
Hashanah. Started, sundown last night, runs through tomorrow morning. Rosh Hashanah in the year 5786.
That's correct.
Of the Jewish faith. So all of you celebrating that. And if you are, here's something to tell you and the rest of us what Rosh Hashanah and the New Year is all about.
It's not January 1st, but I want to wish you a Happy New Year. My name is India, and today we are going to celebrate the Jewish New Year here in Israel. Right now, people all across the country are snacking on delicious treats, gathering with family, or attending prayer services at synagogues. And everywhere you can hear this sound.
This is what New Year's Eve feels like in Israel.
According to the Jewish calendar, it is not 2021, but 5782. The Jewish New Year in Hebrew is called Rosh Hashanah, which in English translates to the head of the year. The Jewish calendar counts time differently from the calendar that we usually use. The Jewish New Year begins on the anniversary of the world's creation. To welcome the new year, there are a few traditions, like eating pomegranates and apples along with honey to start the year with sweetness. Where can you find these things? Well, just come with me to the Carmel markets in Tel Aviv.
האנשים לפני ראש השנה, לפני כמה ימים, וזה באים, ממלאים, קונים, עושים נשמה עין העולם, הרבה פירות. אם רוצים נשמה של סחורה טובה וטריה, זה לבוא לשוק בבוקר מוקדם, חבל על הזמן.
Rosh Hashanah also has another name. It is called the Feast of Trumpets. This is the same sound we heard earlier. It comes from a shofar, an instrument made out of the horn of a ram. The blast of the shofar is a powerful way to start the new year. I must add that Rosh Hashanah marks a very holy time for the Jewish people. It comes exactly 10 days before the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, which is the day that the Jewish people ask for forgiveness. But for now, we are celebrating! And if you want to celebrate the new year too, you can start by getting some fruits and honey to share with your family. Then greet someone with the words Shana Tova. This is how you wish someone a happy new year in Hebrew. So, there you have it. Welcome to year 5782. A year that we hope will bring peace and blessings, especially after all the chaos the world has recently experienced. Now we want to wish you a happy new year. Shana Tova! This is Rosh Hashanah.
This is Inside Israel.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
How many sailing shows celebrate the Lunar New Year?
Because we pay close attention to the stars.
Well,
and to the sea, and so
we're just multi-culti,
we
as the
are
Germans would say.
multi-culti,
We are
yes.
multi-culti, Julia.
Yes.
That courtesy of I-24 News, and we're celebrating Rosh Hashanah. I'm not sure I pronounced that correctly today, but that's what we are celebrating.
I've already said Rosh Hashanah.
And may I say to all of you, Shana Tova, which means
Have a good year.
have a good year in Hebrew, obviously. Now, there is yacht racing in that part of the world. In fact, that country has, and most of the racing there is not really done in yacht clubs, but it's the Israeli Yachting Federation, or Sailing Association, I guess they call themselves. And they're quite active, quite good, and they've won some medals, including gold medal in the windsurfing class, if I remember well. But they also have offshore racing, and they have a club called the Israel Yacht Club, which corresponds with the ORC and with, I'm sure, with Andrew McIrvin and others in the offshore world, because they do quite a bit of offshore racing. Have a look. I don't know if they're shouting hello to the race committee or you're barging in Hebrew. Most of their sailing is in and around Tel Aviv. Yeah, Tel Aviv. And there's a nice friendly wave to the race committee. Mm-hmm. And you can charter a boat I saw 2 or 3 other yacht clubs that are really by way more of sailing schools and marinas and so on. But maybe someday, Julia.
Yes. That's interesting water.
Interesting water. Okay, I'm not going to explore. That one further.
Well, it's not flat, and it's not.
I think it's the Red Sea. Pretty sure. I don't know. Okay, they tend to be good at windsurfing, John Emmett says. Always good to learn about other cultures, Ed Worley is saying. Indeed, it is, and we do that because we're a global show. Not only, as John Emmett said, we're live, but we are a global show as well. Speaking of John Emmett, we have his report for today. Coaching Corner with John Emmett. Get to the front of the fleet, and here is his segment for today.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Welcome to John Emmett's Coaching Corner. And if you haven't done so already, please do share. Drop us a comment, drop us a like. You know the drill. And I think it's really important that we discuss what's going on in our sport, because for me, I've always seen sailing as a consistency sport, but perhaps that's something that is going to change. Now, for me, I think you have the most worthy winner at the end of a long and hard-fought week if you've had a range of conditions. And there's a really good saying that good sailors make their own luck. And of course, there's a lot of luck in sailing, and it's about good judgment and taking, or rather making the most of an advantage when you have it and mitigating any loss. And I always think, the optimum weight of a class becomes quite important over a range of wind strengths. If you're right at the top end or right at the bottom end, it makes you quite vulnerable in some sets of conditions. And I said with a low point scoring system or perhaps a single discard, traditionally sailing has very much been a consistency sport. Personally, I often think, when we have very light winds, that there's a big advantage to the lightest sailors in the fleet, but I know when we have some stronger winds, then that advantage gets turned on its head, and vice versa. So the strong winds, I know the heavy sailors are going to have advantage against me, but I know that when it's light, it will be harder for them to be competitive. A good example we've had with Masters World Championships is sometimes we have really light events and sometimes really windy. And that's why when you get to the highest level of competition, you end up with a small and quite narrow weight range where everybody tries to optimize their weight for the given conditions. And this long series, I said, it really rewards consistent sailing because it's not how many first places you count in the series. Often it's what's the worst score you have to count. So for example, if you've won every race apart from 3, but in those 3 races you've got black flagged, counting 2 black flags, you're not going to do very well. So the guy who's always, top 6 at the Wimmer mark and a top 3 finish is likely to be the person who does well. And it's not unusual in this format to see people winning competitions with a race or even a day to spare. And we see that in other sports like Formula One Grand Prix, and everybody buys into that. But the Olympic movement is taking us away from that into arguably the winner of the last race wins the event. And there's a series of trials going on at the moment. People who are interested in Fortaleza, I suggest they check out the notice of race for that, because it shows us the direction the sport is going. And I've said this a few times, but I'll be going to Dunleary to sort of check out and see what's happening. But as I said, good sailors make their own luck, but now the conditions on the final day will make a big difference, because it's just in a way that final day which counts. And I've said many times on my coaching reels that boat speed makes you a tactical genius. So if you have a final day of racing in 7 knots, that's going to be a different advantage, or advantage a different person, to if the final day of racing is in a full-on 27 knots. And of course, over several days, it's quite hard to know what to expect. And even in the most predictable of venues, you often arrive there and they go, oh, the weather is never normally like this. So it does put that bit of jeopardy on that final day. And I think sailors just need to get used to. I mean, for me, in terms of watching sailing, probably the most excitement is when I have no idea who's going to win. You think Germany is well ahead and they drop off the foils, and Australia's on the foils, and Australia's going to definitely overtaken, but then Germany's back on the foils, and Sail GP, the racing must have been very frustrating for sailors, but certainly it was much easier or much more watchable for me than a competition where perhaps you have two boats, one of them is faster, and how that competition is going to end. But this sense of jeopardy is something which is definitely increasing, and if you look at the new formats, that's obviously what they're looking for. So it goes a little bit away from being a consistency sport and probably changes your win-lose ratios or your risk-reward ratios, because actually, starting probably becomes more and more important the shorter the race. And if it's literally a place, make it to the next round or not, people are much more likely to do Hail Marys. Whereas with longer racing, 40, 45, 50 minutes, crikey, dragons do 90, it's about being consistent, covering the fleet when you can. And the biggest eye-opener for me was probably the wing foiling. So when I'm coaching or doing media for Ilkers, you watch the start, you watch the first third of the beat, you then go very fast in a big circle, so as not to give the big arcs, so as not to give them any dirty waves, as it were, and you can watch them all go around the wimmer mark and chase them all around the racecourse, no problem. With the wing foiling, they're so fast, I never got above the leeward gate, because after the start, they could get to the wimmer mark quicker than me, so we just saw them on the way down again. In fact, like a lot of racing these days, I probably saw most of the tactical stuff by following the tracking. But I'd be very interested to know what people's thoughts are, and I said it does feel like the sport is going in a very set direction, and I think the younger sailors are probably buying into that. But at the same time, I say, sailing, there's something out there for everyone, and that's so well demonstrated in the UK by the huge number of classes we have. So whatever sailing you're doing, sail fast, sail safe, and keep having fun.
And keep having fun, Julia. That's right, exactly. Interesting that people are thinking that John was talking about luck. I think that was about, John's very diplomatic and very cautious about what he says. He doesn't want to get anybody upset at him because he's, coaching in various, not just in the ILCA, but in other areas, opportunities. And Baton Rouge says luck is 99% skill. I don't know what Dogzilla, what Stingray meant. What did John step in? Today, nothing. The last two shows he did in his reports. Fog Machine, a.k.a. Lance Burke here in the Bay Area, St. Francis Yacht Club. Luck is 99% perspiration, 1% bribery. Consistent application of quality. Gordon Smith, good point. David James, another good point. The more I practice, the luckier I get. New name, Tim Kent, checking in from Charleston, South Carolina. Tim, welcome. I think you're a new name. John Emmett, check out the recent Dutch Grand Slam. I think he means grand, not Graham. For an idea of the new formats. Wonderful, John Emmett, a true spreader of biosolids. Yeah, there was some texting back and forth this morning about John's farm and how they spread what John called biosolids, which I assume is fertilizer. It's,
yeah.
Cow manure and whatever else on the certain fields. Mm-hmm. Thanks, John. As usual, Ted Ryman is saying, but I think there's something else going on here, and I think this is what John is also speaking to. Those of you who have been following Olympic sailing, you know that we've gone from having for a long, long, long time. I'm talking about decades back. 7 races with 1 throwout. And, the races were good long races, probably hour and a half, 2 hour, well, maybe not 2 hour races, but in light air, maybe. Triangle, windward, leeward, windward was the traditional Olympic course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leg courses on a mile plus beats for most of the classes. And you could have a kind of a crummy start and still, with boat speed, get yourself back in.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm being careful with my words here. I know we're trying to impress the IOC. We're trying to please the IOC, and we're trying to make the sport more telegenic, Julia.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
We all get that.
Yep.
But frankly, you look at what the New York Yacht Club did at the Invitational Cup last week, and that was so much more interesting. You have X many races, no throwouts. Can't remember, what was it, 8 races, no throwouts. And it's down to the last race because everybody has to count the last race. You can't throw it out. You can't, somebody hasn't already won, or they may have, but not likely, because in a 20-boat fleet, for example, which is a typical Olympic-sized fleet, you could screw the pooch in the last race and take a 18th, 19th, and you might not win. I'm a firm believer in that approach, and I think that's also more interesting from a television standpoint. Witness what happened with San Diego Yacht Club Deep. They were in the cheap seats, and then they slowly, gradually worked their way back. Yep. Good stuff. 12 races. Claire Harrington is in the chat and reminding us. So I'm with that format. I still think that's more interesting for television. There's more stories to tell because you can talk about what everybody's done in the previous races, who did what in, as John was saying, in heavier races, and then today's condition is tell me what, light or heavy. Well, who might have an advantage today? Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot more storytelling in that than having a 6 or 7 or 8 minute winner take all gold medal race, which is again what we're talking about with the Olympics. And we've had this medal race for a long time, whereas John rightly says, comes down to as much as anything getting a good start. Full stop. We got to have a show on here. We have to have a panel discussion. We'll do that sometime, Julia, sooner than later. Gordon Smith, gymnastics, horse dressage, cross country, etc., all have more jeopardy of performance than sailing. Time to catch up. Not quite sure what you meant by that, Gordo, but we'll talk about that sometime sooner than later, because I think we've got to discuss this as we see what World Sailing is doing come their annual meeting in November, as they will start to firm these formats up for 2028 and beyond. John Emmett, he says, once again, I think the horse is out of the barn, and one of the new formats will be here to stay, at least for the immediate future. I am not saying I'm a fan. I'm just saying I think that is the way it's going to be. Well, I think
he's talking about.
I think that still doesn't excuse us from telling people what we think is right and correct, Julia.
Yeah.
Is Tim Kent the Atlantic 40 sailor that TFE interviewed on the show? Don't know about that. That's Baton Rouge, also in Charleston, normally. Okay, John Emmett, thank you very much for your report. John Emmett, get to the front of the fleet. John Emmett Sailing.
And he's winning. Did somebody say he's winning?
We're going to tell you about that.
Oh.
We're going to tell you about that, Julia.
Oh.
Speaking of which. The 2025 ILCA 6 and ILCA 7 Masters World Championships are going on as we speak in Formia, Italia, the 19th through the 28th. There are fully 445 entries from 38 countries, including Fosies, John Emmett, and Pedro Foiling Sailor, a.k.a. Peter Stevenson.
Peter Stevenson, yeah.
Peter Stevenson, as you reach for... Is there any booze in that coffee?
No.
Might have to put some in there, Julia.
Yes.
So that's what's going on, and we have today a Pedro's Personal Perspective for the first time in a long time from Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor, a PPP, who he's sailing in this regatta, but his division did not sail today. Here's Peter.
Good morning, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosie. It's Pedro here, and I'm just at the...
You're not really going to do this
when
I'm getting changed.
Oh, look who it is. It's a famous man of mystery doing his bit for the country.
Right, if I lose my towel, I will be fine.
All right, look, I won't embarrass you, John. Good to see you, mate. Now, look, are you going to go left or are you going to go right?
Pedro, I'm just going to put the wetsuit on.
Okay, we'll save John the embarrassment. Bye, Tom. Bye, Julia. I'll just come down a little bit lower here. Right.
Not that way.
No. Good to see you, John. And well done yesterday. Okay. It's goodbye from me, Pedro, and it's also goodbye from... Say hello to the Fosie.
Okay, Pedro, but I'm in a little bit of a rush to make the...
Yeah, I know, but we all want to know what it is that you do to win.
Yeah, well, making it to the start line on time will be
a good option.
Okay, mate. All the best. Catch you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Now, that is from today.
Yeah.
And it was, first of all, real windy and thunderstormy and threatening. So that's why they kept the legends, which is Peter is one of, I think, 5 legends, the oldest of the old there. And they kept them on shore. So Peter went around and filming this stuff with John. But one thing I'm texting back and forth with them, too. And John says, as you saw, yes, I wear nothing under nothing comes between me
And my
wetsuit.
Well, that's probably a good
Calvin
idea.
Klein commercial. Well, it's not a good idea. I always wore a Speedo under my wetsuit. I don't know. You'd sit on certain things, Julie, if you're not careful.
Is that so?
Is that TMI? Yeah. It's. I don't know how John does it, but anyway, we don't need to go. We don't need to go.
Let's not do that. I don't need to know that.
And Gordon Smith, he's observing, John's under wetsuit secrets are almost revealed. Commando. This is 20, and John is saying it's 23 minutes after the D flag. D flag is when they raise the flag on shore. And I don't know, it's the timing between when you ought to leave shore and when they're going to do the warning
minutes.
signal. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it's a warning for the warning, an attention signal. And Alistair says, John not looking happy. Yeah, I'm not sure he was too happy. He's running a little late there. And you can see that it is a madness to get 400 plus boats off the beach to get out. And it's has light. It's quite a bit lighter than what they were expecting. These are pictures sent this morning by Peter. Hot off the press, Tom. A and C fleet heading out, B fleet. My fleet canceled for the day. From what I can see, that's a good thing, as the wind has been quite strong this morning, but it is now slowly dropping this afternoon. That's again today. And my prediction is they will all get out there, and then there won't be enough wind to even get a race in, but we will keep our fingers crossed that they do get the 2 scheduled races in, the good races that are slated for today, at least for these other fleets. Now, Peter gathered up some of the other legends. He said it was beer o'clock, threat of lightning that didn't, I don't know what time beer o'clock is, but for an Aussie, that's about most any time of the day, right?
Right.
Where's Jody Shields? He can explain that to us. It was beer o'clock, threat of lightning, and thunder that didn't come. And they felt they should send out the young guys for some more pain as the wind was dropping. I think it's almost dead flat ass calm. Oh, no, you didn't say that. Dead calm out there now. When I finish this, I will send you the names of the 3 in the photo, and I will walk up the mountaintop and see how the racing is looking at 5 p.m. this afternoon. Well, I think Peter, he didn't walk up. I think he took a nap. But I recognize well the gentleman in the middle who is a long time friend. That is John Robo, as he's well known. That's Robo, John Roberson from Perth, from WA. He's a Brit who long ago has been living out in Perth, at least in their summer and our Northern Hemisphere winter. I don't know Phil Eadie, also an Aussie from Sydney, and these are 3 of the, I believe, 5 legends that are there. Mm-hmm. And these guys are so, at least Robo is so famous that Andrew McIrvin said in a text this morning, Robo's an old friend of mine, John Roberson, actually a Brit, but for many years has spent the winter, i.e. summer, in Perth. He migrates back and forth for our summer. Must be one of the most senior legends. Had not a few drinks with him during Cows Week. Wish him luck. He's telling Peter Stevenson in a text, wish him luck from me.
Yeah.
And the other Andrew Pindar, chimed in and said, the great Robo did the Newport Bermuda Centennial race on one of my Volvo 60s along with D. Kafari, Campbell Field, and a few other senior serious sailors whom he calls, Andrew Pindar called reprobates. But Robo, Julia, is one of the legends in the sport. He's a fabulous guy.
I know about him from the sailors for a long time.
He's been covering the America's Cup since forever.
Yep.
I met him, I guess the first time was in Perth, but maybe before that, Perth in 86, 87. And he is a legend. He's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And a great guy. So here's what it looked like as they were going out in the light air today. This from Peter.
There's our man of mystery.
That's John in 21-6-115. Trying to get out to the starting line in time.
It does take a little while to get 450 boats on the water. Just trying to do a slow pan here as another Pedro's personal perspective.
Wow.
A lot of boats.
Oh,
Magnificent event.
And there's only 2 of the 3 fleets going out. As you can see, it's a little bit crowded getting out. You should see the chaos getting in. Anyway, over and out from me. I might go and have a little afternoon snooze.
Thought he was going up the mountain to have a look at the racing, Julia.
oh yeah.
John Emmett says, one of the reasons he texted after he got back in, because they didn't race ultimately, one of the reasons I keep out of the boat park is to avoid everyone, like Peter was doing, asking me whether to go left or right or how I set my rig up. The wind never got above 4 knots today, so I rocked out and then rocked back in. The boat park video was 23 minutes after the D flag, and yes, I wear nothing under my wetsuit. If we had started on time, I would have been very close to missing the start. Nonetheless, John is leading the Masters fleet in the, I guess this is the Grand Masters division. John is, and there's a bunch of boats. There's, I think, 30 or 40 boats in this fleet. And as you can see, John yesterday had a second and a first. So our Super Fozy is on top ahead of Elisa Boskin. Is that how you pronounce that? Italian. And Thomas Tim, not sure which, from Switza, from Switzerland. And keep it going, John. And thank you, Peter, for Peter's personal perspective for today.
That was nice.
PPP. And I've still got one in the can with the respect to his 12-meter project that he's working on.
Yes.
Down under.
Look forward to see that
And
too.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Any other comments here before we move forward? Let it all hang out, John. Pedro is a child, Ryman says. Looks like Sail GP weather. Yeah, that was...
James Frederick Bland is there.
Yeah, I texted with James this morning. What's
Good.
he have to say? Julie, you want to read it?
Snooze is a good idea.
This is a good idea. Torture, I'd stay on the beach for this one, J. Frederick Bland is also saying. Master diversion, a lot more racing to go. John always wins. Somebody said, why don't they just name it the John Emmett division or the John Emmett Trophy? How can we ever get to the head of the pack when John is already out there? That's a good question, good point, Mark Holland. Okay, thank you, Peter Stevenson, for that personal perspective today. We always say at the end of John's report how important it is to get parasailing back into the Olympics as a Paralympic sport in Brisbane 2032. And I'm pleased to report that the Australian Sailing Federation, or just now Australian Sailing for short, proudly supports the re-inclusion of sailing. This is a post on their Facebook page a day or so ago. At the Paralympic Games, and we're passionate about the efforts to see the sport return to the Paralympic stage for Brisbane 2032. This year, Australia's para and inclusive sailors will compete at the 2025 World Sailing Inclusion Championships. You know, I'm not sure that's a great name, but whatever. In Oman, 20 November to 8 December. This world-class event celebrates talent
30 November.
30, what did I say, 20? Thank you. 30 November to 8 December, this world-class event celebrates talent, inclusivity, and the future of our sport. Our team is self-funding, the Australian team is, their journey and needs your support. Every tax-deductible donation helps cover travel, equipment, and competition costs, ensuring our sailors can focus on doing Australia proud. Show your support. You can contribute at any of those various links. Not that you can click on them here in the show, but the point is, Julia, if Australia is getting to Oman for this event, I hope a bunch of other countries, especially in Europe, who are much closer, much closer to Oman and can raise the money, get their sailors there, because we need a big turnout if we're going to convince the IPC, the International Paralympic Council, I believe it is, to put sailing back in as a demonstration event for 2032 and then make it a regular event beyond.
As it has been in the past.
As you're always good to add that. Thank you. It is an inclusion event, meaning anyone can compete. Well, why don't we say it's open? I mean, it's open to Paralympic sailors, but nearly all the sailors will be completely self-funded, John Emmett is saying. And that little bit was sent by Dolly DeVola. Andrew, thank you very much for sending that in. for today's show. Now, a lot of us have been talking about Sail GP, Julia. Shall we have a quick look at what happened in Geneva over the weekend? And the water jet. And very, very light racing. In fact, the finals didn't even get covered. It took so long on Sunday to get the first couple races in.
Right.
The finals didn't get covered unless you were watching it on YouTube. And YouTube was blocked, geo-blocked in a lot of countries because they have over-the-air broadcast or cable broadcasting.
They have what? I didn't understand.
In countries, you and I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You were upstairs in the Commodore suite where you were watching it, weren't you? Because I was watching it down here and chitting and chatting. It was early. Gosh darn. Mm-hmm. But I did drag my sorry you-know-what out of bed to watch it. It was good fun to watch, even though it was light. We keep talking about that. Light air is not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. The races were very short. I think the length, on Sunday at least, they were like 400 meters was the length of the leg.
Yeah.
So, and they went, tell me if I'm wrong, windward, leeward, windward or something.
Yeah, short.
It was short. Or it was that reach, that supposed high-speed reach, then windward, leeward, windward or something. But in any event, it was short and it was light. And they do have the big wings and they do have the new light air rudders, T-foil rudders, and they do have the big light air foils, the dagger foils, and only 3 people on the boats.
Making it as light as possible.
As light as possible so that they will hopefully get and stay foiling in the light air. There are your finalists, Switzerland, Australia, and Germany. And to just about everyone's surprise, Germany, though, are coming on strong. They're doing better and better with each regatta. And history was made. Germany have claimed now their first ever Sail GP victory at this Light Air Fest in Geneva. Sail GP has a brand new winner, Germany, by Deutsche Bank, stormed to their first ever event victory in Geneva, giving their fans the breakthrough of which they've been dreaming. Did you see how I fixed that?
I'm proud of
so
you.
that you'd be happy with
Yes, I will.
of which they've been dreaming. Driver Eric Heil was lost for words as his team took a spectacular victory at the debut. It's the first Geneva Sail GP. It's probably the last. It's not scheduled there next year.
Is it?
It's already not scheduled.
Well, the wind was crotonic.
Well, but even before the crotonic wind, I think that maybe the finances weren't 100%. But they have pleased Rolex, who's their overall title partner, and I'm sure this was driven at least in part by Rolex.
Yeah.
Heil admitted to being a bit shocked as Germany first sealed a place in the 3-boat winner-takes-all final, their first ever, then went on to defeat the Bonds flying. You got to give Tommy credit, though. I mean, Tommy Slingsby sailed well. And also beat the home team, Switzerland. Here they are coming into the finish.
Here, and it will be official, and it will be a first. Welcome to the winner's circle. The Emirates winning moment goes to the first-time winners at Sail GP. Germany, take a bow.
Get in there! Get in there!
Only 3 athletes on board, Stevie, but that's all they needed.
Well, they'll be celebrating in Germany, though, won't they? We know what a big fan base Sail GP's got over in Germany, and there'll be huge celebration. Eric Heil, a little bit of emotion.
I agree with Ted Ryman. It's really pleased to see Germany do so well and finally win a race, and here they were with Lisa afterwards.
Let's go down to the water, and Lisa's our man.
Jump in the bell, guys.
Eric, congratulations. All the high fives are happening right now out here. First event win. Well done.
I hit the thing. Okay, say it again.
I said congratulations. What a win for your team. First event win. How does it feel?
Amazing. I mean, a little shocking as well, but really cool. Everyone is fizzing. Yeah.
How hard was that race? Obviously, foiling, not foiling, pressure was on.
I think we had a good situation after the start, but yeah, then I felt we were bit under pressure with the people behind us foiling. But yeah, I think it's surprisingly good.
It's been a long time coming, but how special is this for the team?
Yeah, very good time for the team to get some success. They were working all really hard and really cool.
Well, I better let you go do the high fives and celebrations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know him, but he seems like such a nice kid. I mean, he's a kid, nice guy, great sailor. He obviously is a great sailor. And there are the results for the Rolex Switzerland Sail Grand Prix Geneva. Obviously, the Germans first, and then Tommy Slingsby and his Bonds Flying Rouge were second. Suiza were third, and then down through the rest of the list, including the U.S. team, who won a point.
Yay!
So now they're only minus 7 points in the overall. And I'm going to play, I think, most of this, if not all of this video. This is the recap, the last thoughts from the commentators. Well, at least play it until I get bored of it. How's that?
For Event 10 in Season 5 of the Rolex Switzerland Sail Grand Prix Geneva, part of the Rolex Sail GP Championship. Alongside Hannah Diamond and Stevie Morrison, I am Todd Harris. Wow, what a crazy 2 days. Hannah, wasn't the biggest breeze we've ever seen, but Super Sunday delivered the drama.
Yeah, it did. That's right. And there was a lot to learn for the teams this weekend because we had the new light air T-foils on for the first time. Some delays for wind, but, you know, some great racing as well.
And in the end, Stevie, first-time winners, Germany, they're in the winner's circle.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And we had the conversation, didn't we? Was it harder here or was it harder out on the water? Because it felt pretty crazy watching the racing and trying to comment on it. But, yeah, what a performance by the Germans. We saw a few weeks ago, I think, that there was a crisis meeting held in the middle of the summer. And I'd love to know what they said in that meeting, because they've really turned it around, haven't they? You know, a 4th place, a 5th place, and then they've come out with a win, and thoroughly deserved. They sailed brilliantly today, and they look pretty slick when they're out and clear.
How big of an impact do you think the new T-foils were, and did it play a big role in today, especially with the light wind?
I think what we saw is they're going to be awesome in terms of as the crews get used to using them. We were in a freshwater venue here, so the boats are harder to get foiling anyway. You know, the weather was hard this weekend. We thought it would be light, then suddenly there was a lot of wind, and we didn't want an incident where we've got too much wind for the foils, so they changed the rudders to the smaller rudders, which then meant you had a bit of an imbalance between the front and the back of the boat. And it was I think in hindsight the wind didn't come as much as they thought, so we ended up with the wrong rudder elevators on. But what we did see is the boats fly better, they glide better, the performance has gone up. There's an awful lot for the crews to learn. I don't know, fastest boat to me looked like the Australians, Hannah. I don't know what you think. I mean, they didn't quite get it done in the final. They didn't quite get off the start line all weekend, but my word, they could rescue themselves.
Yeah, and I think we've always seen that the light winds as kind of their only Achilles heel, and starting wasn't the strongest this weekend, but their ability to claw back, I think particularly with just 3 sailors on board, the number of roles they're having to juggle when the boats get up and foiling, and you know that's happening at a slower boat speed now with these bigger light air foils, so they're foiling more of the time, which is great, but the amount of jobs that need to be done on board when there's just 3 people, it is full on, and I don't think we get so much of an impression of that when we're watching.
You were saying that, yeah, that we didn't quite get it across. How when the boat's out in front and you've perhaps not got anything else to focus on other than what you're doing on the boat, it's doable. But as soon as you're having to try and do all of your jobs and then think outside the box with something that's not planned, it's really hard. And, you know, it's interesting how the teams are learning to manage that, how the different crew members that can still talk to the sailors on the boat from off the rib or in the coach's booth are talking. It's really interesting to listen into how the teams are breaking that down. But yeah, the new foils definitely are a real jump up for the fleet. And, you know, Bonds Flying Rouge is going to be good. And we saw also just how minute decisions can have massive outcomes. About halfway down the first leg of race 5, so the final race of the qualifying for the final, New Zealand were in second, Spain were winning, but Spain had to have a good result, and New Zealand would have been easily into the final. They would have pretty much been guaranteed for a place in the grand final. Burling went a little bit early for the right turn. I thought he would have just gone 2 for the left turn. He didn't, and then he got himself caught, trapped by the Canadians, suddenly bounced around in the pack. Penalties. And they're right back in it. We look at the overalls now, Todd, and we think about that race to the final, and we've got the Black Foils, 73 points. They're just 3 ahead of Spain. I think it's now a 4-horse race, straight shot. But yeah, 76 points the Bonds Flying Rouge, 75 Emirates Great Britain, 73 for the New Zealand Black Foils, and then Los Gaios 70. I mean, anything could happen now.
You showed me some serious courage by telling Tom Slingsby that the only chink in his armor was light wind. And I was like, oh, easy, Stevie. He just finished. He didn't win a race. Don't you want to poke the Grizzly here? But the good news is for the Mons Flying Rouge, they're back in first place. And I think they feel that momentum shifting. Cadiz normally a little more wind than we saw here in Geneva. But what do you anticipate? What do you think is going to happen now? As Stevie said, 4 boats really battling for 3 positions.
Well, Cadiz is an interesting venue as well because you can get quite a big sea state rolling in. So it's one of those venues again where, Geneva we expected to be quite light winds and it did end up playing out like that. But we don't know exactly what it's going to be like. It could be light, it could be breezy. So the teams have got to really be prepared for everything. And so, I'd expect that would probably play into the hands of Mons Flying Rouge. They're pretty happy at the top of the table. They just need a solid result. Whereas I think the overall results between Black Foils and the Spanish Los Gallos, the pressure's really on because only one of them can take that spot in the final. And obviously Emirates GBR are not safe either. And we've seen how easy it is to pick up a lot of points and, drop a lot of points compared to the teams behind you. So no one's safe, but I think it's going to be about making sure you're all well-rounded and ready to race.
I think where we are as well, Todd, look, we look at the overall there on 23
they just, for the next 3 minutes, they just talk about the standings, which we can do ourselves pretty well. And speaking of which, there are the standings. Mm-hmm. And interesting, now Tommy has climbed to the top. You remember Pete Burling was on top before going into this event.
Yep.
And Dylan Fletcher still in second and Pete in third. By the way, I agree with the comment from Alistair Murray. There was a race 1 start by Pete Burling where he went all around the fleet down to leeward and got onto the foils. Was that the start, Alistair, that you're talking about? Got on the foils, went to leeward of the fleet, bang on at the start at 0, and then blew by the fleet and was to that so-called speed mark, the first mark, well ahead of the pack. So it was. These guys are so good. I mean, we talk about big foils, little foils, this, that, and the other thing, but the fact that Tommy Slingsby, he'll get into trouble. And once you're back there, as John and some of the others have said in the chat, once you're back in the cheap seats, it's really hard to dig yourself out of the dirty air, find a lane, find clear air, a clear
doing
path.
That pretty well, though.
But Tom is amazing. He can be in 8th, 9th, 10th at that first mark.
Yeah.
And with a combination of speed and tactics, get himself back into maybe not into the top 3, but at least into the top 5. And he did that consistently.
Yeah.
And John Emmett has been saying all along, Oz, GBR, NZL all season. But Julia, you've been saying ESP.
Yeah, I have.
And they're doing okay, too. They had another pretty good regatta.
I think they're on top right now of that.
Now, they're in 4th overall now. There's the standings. Los Gallos are in 4th, but they're only 6 points behind Tom.
Yeah.
And so Bottini behind Slingsby by 6, as the 3 of the commentators were just saying. And Dylan, you got to give Dylan Fletcher credit. You got to give Pete credit. And I think the French are done. They're back 14 points behind 4th place. So I think you're not going to see much more of them in the hunt. The American team now is only -7, as we said a minute ago. Sadly, Mubadala of Brazil, Grail's team had problems technically on day 1, and they suffered as well. But
they've had a lot of problems with that boat.
Well, I remember that boat got completely, it went in, stuffed in, and had to be completely rebuilt, and who knows what other problems they have.
Yeah, that's not fair to her.
But 70% ESP finish in 4th. And all I can say is that we did do, Julia, on Tuesdays, or on Friday's show, it's Tuesday today, we said, Foxtrot Papa, what are your Fozy predictions? And I can rest assured, I can certainly say that nobody guessed Germany. Nobody predicted Germany would win this event. So I think we were all wrong. I picked the Kiwis, and again, they weren't in the final 3. So I've been wrong twice in a row, backing Pete Burling. Those of you who've been supporting Tommy, you're right. Julia, you were closer with your Spanish pick, and on down the list. So Baton Rouge says they should never commentate louder than they just did in that video. So Foxtrot Papa, the Fozy predictions were not very good, but one prediction that's been made is that how awful and continuing to be awful, the social media of the U.S. team is. This was a picture that we all saw, if those of you who follow SailGP closely, of Taylor in his Tommy Hilfiger gear and cowl neck sweater, which I think Rick Banner said he hasn't seen since the 1970s, and the puff jacket, the puff vest. Man, oh man, I don't know where that logo came from. But I put that on my Facebook page, Julia, and the comments have been rolling in. I've taken 4 from Fozy, who I think were 4 of the cleaner and funnier ones. Jamie Hutchison said, I was taught way back that if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. That's what our mothers and grandmothers all said, right? Yeah. Just be quiet. But Taylor, really. Alistair Murray said, I really like this one. Off to my job interview. Caption contest. Taylor's off to, I don't know what job he's interviewing in that getup, maybe for the Coast Guard. This is what happens when sailing becomes a product. Ed Worley said, not Ted, Ed Worley. And then finally, Bill Wingrove down in Tampa, Florida said, he must be in the Coast Guard. Baton Rouge is remembering, Julia, that you said Spain would struggle in the light air.
I did.
Greg Normand is on, who does that YouTube show, good YouTube show, Inside Great Lakes Sailing. He's saying, I heard this week America Magic is strongly considering entry into SailGP. A high-ranking quantum said it's high on the priority list. Mm-hmm. Yes, well, we reported that the other day. I thought they were going to be the 13th team. I was hearing that, but maybe now they're going to be the 14th team, or maybe they're going to buy an existing team if the price will be right. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that, Julia?
I think that would be good.
Anyway, that's SailGP, but in 10 days' time, just not this weekend, but the weekend following, we are in Andalusia in Cadiz. They are, SailGP is, for the DP World Spain Sail Grand Prix.
Yep.
Next weekend, that is the weekend after this coming. And that is a normal Saturday, Sunday event. And we'll look forward to the penultimate event on the 2025 SailGP calendar.
I hope
in Cadiz.
Hope Spain gets the weather they want and can perform perfectly in front of our hometown.
The 4th and 5th of Octubre, as I said, in just 10 days' time. Yeah. What's some more comments here? Julia said, David James, I suppose Ralph Lauren paid him to wear a Hilfiger logo. I have to use my cough switch, Julia.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my goodness, David James. Chicago. Let's come back to Chicago. A great event there. It was also lightish. The Women's Match Racing World Championships, also part of the World Match Racing Tour, wrapped up. And I asked the question last Friday, can anyone stop Pauline Courtois and her Match in Pink team? No. The answer is no. History was made. Match in Pink wins their 5th consecutive women's match racing world title. I should have put a Bravo Zulu slide in here, Julia.
Yes, indeed.
This is great stuff, Pauline and co. Pauline and her Match in Pink by Normandy elite team from Le Havre in France have once again proven their dominance in the sport of match racing, capturing their 5th consecutive World Sailing Women's Match Racing World Championship title in Chicago, a hell of a town. The French skipper and her crew, how do you say that in French? Lemaitre? Louise Acker, Sophie Faguet, and Lorraine Metro defeated New Zealand's Megan Thompson and her 2.0 racing team 2-1 in a first to 2 points final. First to 2 wins normally. Denmark's Leah Richter Vogelius and her WOW sailing team finished 3rd. Hannah Lee Knoll took some beautiful photos for the event. There is yet another one off the city front there in Chicago. The 2025 World Championship, hosted by CYC, brought together 12 all-female teams representing 7 nations for 4 days of fiercely competitive racing. Courtois and her team entered the Chicago event as the team to beat, no doubt, having already secured world titles in 2021, 2022, 2023, and her most recent triumph coming last year in Jeddah, 2024. James Pleasant sent all this through to me this morning. Thank you again, James, for doing such a good job. He said, Julia, and I have names under all the pictures of the crew. I've got everybody. So
He's been listening.
he's a good boy, that James Pleasant.
He is.
So there they are, and there was in their press release the 2025, the podium there at the Chicago Yacht Club, pictured from left to right. This is that's Tiana Whitty. We know her dad well. Hattie Rogers, Megan Thompson. I think there's a misspelling there. Charlotte Porter and Josie Andres from New Zealand 2.0 Racing Team NZL. Sophie, again, Faguet, Pauline Courtois, Malin Lemaitre, Lorraine Metro, Louise Acker from Match in Pink by Normandy Elite FR. They're in the middle. They're on the top of the podium. And Leah Richter, Vogelius, Joan, I guess, Hansen, and Sophie Monk Hansen, Josephine Bull Rasmussen, and Annette Strom from WOW Racing Denmark. So bravo Zulu to them. And then this note from James, the final event of the women's WMRT will be held in Bermuda next month, 21-26 October, alongside the Bermuda Gold Cup, sponsored by Aspen and with a women's prize purse, separate from the men's, of U.S. $50,000. Currently, the highest prize money in women's
I'm going to say, that's great.
sailing.
That's great.
Isn't that nice?
It is.
And that from your friend and mine, James Pleasance, the executive director of the World Match Racing Tour, the World Women's Tour. Bravo, Zulu James. Thank you for that good ink. Much appreciated. As we get to, Julia, this day in history, the 23rd of September, 1779. Now, here is a bit of an obscure clue for you, Julia. It's the first clue, and we'll see if any of the Brits maybe get this. That is a place, obviously in England, England's East Coast, called Flamborough Head.
Near York.
Flamborough Head.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Here's your second clue. Great old painting.
Great sea battle.
A great sea battle. Sailing. Great sailing ships.
Between the U.S. and Great Britain.
Yes. And David James, as usual, is among the first, if not the first, and he's got it. He says the John Paul Jones Naval Battle. Yes, you are correct. And it was on this day in history that John Paul Jones defeated the HMS, how do you say that? Serapis? In a naval battle off Flamborough Head, England. He's over there fighting them in England. On September 23rd, 1779, he commanded the Bonhomme Richard, which fought the Serapis and its escort, and we dedicate this to Andrew Pindar, right?
The Countess.
The Countess of Scarborough. While they were protecting a fleet of merchant ships, the fierce battle ended with Jones capturing the Serapis, though his own ship was wrecked in the process. And there was to be your final clue, Julia. John Paul Jones, known in this country as the father of the U.S. Navy. He lived from 1747 to 1792. And where was he born? What does SCO mean?
Scotland.
Scotland. He was a Brit. He was born in Scotland. And he famously said, maybe it's apocryphal, but he is said to have said, I have not yet begun to fight. On this day in 1779, John Paul Jones, aboard the USS Bonhomme Richard, defeats the British frigate HMS Serapis. There it's spelled differently, Serapis, and becomes the United States' first well-known naval hero.
Yes.
Clark Chapin, who also is a naval historian, he says, as I recall, Jones raided a place in England on that same voyage.
Oh, did he?
I have not yet begun to fight. That should be the theme here of this show, Julia.
Indeed.
I have not yet begun to fight.
Hold on.
Hold on. Okay, Julia. Let's check in now, as promised, on the Super Series, the 52 Super Series finale, which is going on in Sardinia at Yacht Club Costa Smeralda. And today, Takashi Okura's sled lead the 52 Super Series. After today's racing, the Range Rover Regatta, after the first two windward-lured races with Italy's Francesco Bruni calling the tactics, aided by 6 times America's Cup winner Murray Jones, owner Okura steered sled to a 4th and a 2nd to earn a 1-point margin over Hasso and Tina Plotner's Phoenix, which welcomes Tom Slingsby back as tactician. Talk about a busy boy.
Wow.
Sailing with fellow Aussie gold medalist Will Ryan. After winning race 1 of the regatta, Harm Mueller-Spreer's Platoon Aviation were denied the chance to complement the victory with another strong score when they were struck by Gladiator during the starting sequence to race 2. Yeah, I was hearing about this from Claire Harrington this morning, which was subsequently recalled. The 2023 champions platoon had to return to the Yacht Club Costa Smeralda dock with a crew injury and to effect composite repairs to their starboard aft quarter. They receive average points 6.5 in the 13-point boat fleet and lie 3rd overall. So no video, at least by the time we were going to air, no video. There are the standings. Sled, Phoenix, Allegre, Paprik, Alpha, Platoon Aviation, and then down at the bottom is American Magic in 11th, or near the bottom, Value, and then Teasing Machine. Doug DeVos is back driving American Magic, Quantum Racing.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, not H4. H4 must be sailing scows in this time of year in Scow Country. But how would I know? I don't know that. Julia?
Sir?
That gets us at only 14:06 for an hour and 6 minutes into this somewhat shorter than usual show. We're to the last leg, and this is a good last leg. It's got contributions from a number of FOSI, including and especially Peter Taylor, because they are all out there watching. A lot of people are watching, as is Magnus, not Magnus the Magnificent, but also, and by the way, Magnus wrote a great piece about this event. So I read it early this morning. What was it called? Meter boats or meter racing or something on his Rule 69 blog on Substack. So good stuff at the International 6 meters World Championship, making an historic return to Sewanaka Corinthian Yacht Club. And Rick Bannerow is there as well. That event is started yesterday, although they had no air yesterday, so there was no racing, and they only got 1 race in today. It runs through the 26th. There are 30 teams, as we told you last week, 30 teams from 10 nations competing at SCYC. And this class is doing a fabulous job with both images and video. They've hired their own videographer who's been with the class for some time. And Jamie Hilton and the Mueller-Hilton team is in first place after the only race today, Claire Harrington is telling us, and that's in the modern division. There is His Majesty, the King Emeritus of Spain, Juan Carlos in Bribon, and I don't know how he did, maybe somebody else does, but the imagery of these fabulous boats in Long Island Sound, just east of New York City, looking across, is just amazing. There again is the King. There is, and some of these pictures, most of these are from Peter Taylor, but some also from Rick Bannerow. And this is a dear friend of ours. She is coming on the show. I put her picture on today on my Facebook page. And do you know who that is?
No.
See if anybody in the chat can identify our long time friend who runs Team One Newport. And if anybody can identify while you're doing that, can you identify these 3 gentlemen? Claire is saying that Bribon is in 3rd in their class, in the classic class or whatever they call the older boats. That's a 1947 boat that His Majesty, 1947 design at least, it was built shortly thereafter,
That's a San Diego crew.
That is one guy from San Diego, and John Keogh, Claire Harrington, and others are reminding us that previous picture, that is, of course, Martha Parker. I've known Martha for, 40 years, maybe 45 years. Many of you know her. She runs Team One Newport, the chandlery, and they do a lot of soft goods sales and great. By the way, I just got speaking of that, from Team One Newport, courtesy of the Vice Commodore, another belt.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Rolex New York Yacht Club Invitational Cup belt, Julia.
Wow, that's
fabulous.
Treasure.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Martha Parker. She sent that from Team One Newport. Much appreciated. And then back to the other photo. In the middle, of course, is DC, Dennis Conner. And there is Chris Poole on the left, who's been working up his boat and helping. I don't know the gentleman on the right. Please tell me in the chat. Somebody must know who that is. On the right, New York Yacht Club Burgee crossed with the Sewanaka Burgee. Is that the Sewanaka or the Riverside Burgee? Riverside Yacht Club. In any event, who is that on the right of that photo on Dennis's left? And I believe that's Chris Poole on the left in the photo. Pretty sure that is. While you're doing that, I'll show you this picture of the bow of Dennis's new boat.
Wow.
Interesting treatment there. That picture courtesy also of Peter Taylor. And then here is a video from today's only race that was completed, light air race, of Dennis, taken.
Dennis Conner heading down to the leeward mark.
By the Fuzzy
Douse
Fuzzy.
Spinnaker. Spinnaker douse coming.
Okay, so a brief video, and then this is a video from the class
this is the second attempt to get race 2 underway for the Open Division at the 2025 6-meter World
The
Championships.
second race underway today, which was ultimately abandoned.
Too bad.
A lot of overexcitement down here at the committee boat end. But all quiet, which is rather nice. It doesn't sound like we have any recalls at all on that one.
Ed Worley saying the 6-meter class has really continued lots of development in design, and they have. I mean, look at that, the finished boat there. Is that the boat, Claire Harrington's on here, is that the boat that Jamie Hilton is sailing with FIN 81, or is that somebody else? Great stuff. Great class.
Yes, I really loved that class.
Well, you and your late husband followed it all over the world.
Yep.
Supporting the St. Francis Yacht Club team, right?
Yeah, and we were world champions.
You were world champions on and off. Tommy Blackaller, Paul Kayard.
Right.
22nd through the 26th of September, the 6-meter World's going on at Sewanaka Corinthian. As we said at the top of this segment, 30 teams from 10 nations.
That's great.
Great stuff. Okay, we're to the D block, Julia. And we have just a few here in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. No, that was not Jamie's boat. Jamie Hilton is sailing a light green boat with an SUI, Switzerland sail code. Perhaps Dennis could replace Taylor at Sail GP. he might do better. Remember, Dennis won the 88 America's Cup in a catamaran. Don't forget.
Yep.
Julia, we're dedicating this to Gordon Smith because Gordon's going to have his knee redone. And not his hip, but, it's close enough. Dedicated to Gordo. Gordon, I'm no legal scholar, but I think you've got a good case against the surgeon who did your hip replacement. Well, he's having his knee replaced. And I thought the fact that the cartoon was referring to somebody named Gordon was pretty good. I hope you have better luck, Gordon, with your knee replacement when you get that done in due course. Julia, the next one, well, you almost made it. Except for your language with docking.
Oh, that could be awarded to lots of people.
That came from Greg Phillips. I think that previous one did too. I think Greg sent that one about the hip replacement. Julia, in a world full of princesses, be a sailor. That's like your favorite cartoon. Why date a sailor when you can date the Commodore, right? What is that?
Why fool around with the weekend sailor when you can have the Commodore?
Have the Commodore. In a world full of princesses, be a sailor. Okay, Gordon Smith says he can still laugh at that one. Clay Embley sent that one in, Julia.
Okay.
That's a nice one. And then we always like to end on this one from Blake Middleton. All the smartest people sail.
Say we to ourselves.
Say to everybody on here, right?
Yeah.
And that gets us to the finish line. We're done. And Julia, at this point, let's see, what's Baton Rouge saying? I heard RC say that if they can see the pin buoy at all under the slope of the bow, then the start is fair. DC's bow could allow just this perspective from the RC boat. John Emmett, you can be a princess and a sail. Ask Kate.
Oh, absolutely.
She is a sail. That's a good point.
Good point.
Okay, Julia, before you do your thing here at the finish line, I've got one other thing I want to say. I've been doing a lot of ear to the ground, listening in on what we think is going on in the America's Cup. And I checked with 3 different sources this morning, none of whom wanted to be identified for obvious reasons, but they're close to 3 different teams. So I'm reasonably confident what I'm about to tell you all again as a one hears. First of all, they have not yet signed the America's Cup partnership. It was due to be signed, as you all know, on September 9th. Exactly right, Julia. But it's not yet signed. And as we predicted here on this show, it was going to be difficult to get the T's dotted, the T's crossed.
Very difficult to get the T's dotted.
Very difficult. And the I's dotted, especially with respect to legal and taxation.
Yes.
You got all these people trying to come together from different countries, different jurisdictions, and try to make that. And it's very, very difficult. John Emmett saying it's another 2-week scenario. He must be hearing the same. I am hearing that they hope to have it done by the end of this month. Now, Bertie Bickett becomes Commodore of the Royal Yacht Squadron.
New Zealand.
No, Royal Yacht Squadron of England.
Oh, England, brother. Yeah.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
So he will be large and in charge. He's taking over for James Holman then.
Yes.
He is still optimistic this is going to work, so I'm hearing from British and Italian and American sources.
Okay.
And again, he's hoping that it'll be done by the end of the month. He says, and he's telling people, and I'm hearing that Athena is in. They may have money from countries other than the UK. Not going to say who. And that L'Oreal, the French team, the backers of the French team, they are going to come in again and back the French team, supposedly. And next month, at the America's Cup Hall of Fame in New York, at 44th Street, at New York Yacht Club's 44th Street, there's going to be a lot of America's Cup people there, including the French team and the L'Oreal people. I'm going to be there with Andy Rose and our It's Okay group.
Are you?
Yes, I'm going to be there next month. That's October 16th at 44th Street for the America's Cup Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Are you being inducted?
No, for sure not. For sure not. John Emmett says he thinks Athena's had the money for a long time. Well, we'll see. I've been hearing that and reporting that on this show. But, John, the question is, do they have a boat? Do they have a boat? So there's apparently 4 teams. Apparently. The Kiwis is the defender. The Brits is the challenger of record. The Italians is the home team. The home team, the favorite, assuming Naples doesn't go up in volcanic turmoil. And the French.
Oh, well, that would be good.
But I think that's it. I'm not hearing anything that gives me confidence that American Magic is going to go in. It's not I understand it's not a decision. It's not a done deal.
Yeah.
They're monitoring this whole situation. And I think Ernesto is done. I think he's just fed up and he's washing his hands.
Oh, poor thing.
Of the whole thing.
I think that's sad.
If this partnership ultimately does in fact get signed, that's one thing. If they try to amend the deed of gift, or if this partnership becomes a de facto amendment to the deed of gift, I think you're going to see some legal action.
Oh, yes.
I'm hearing.
Yes.
I continue to hear that.
Yes, yes.
We shall see.
Yes.
I don't want the cup in court, but I want to say this. I want to say this overall, Julia. Same thing we said, or I said on Friday's show. The America's Cup has got to stop trying to be Sail GP.
Yes.
The America's Cup should be the America's Cup. It should be rare, like the Olympics, every 4 years, every 3 years, every 4 years, every 5 years. And it should be a big design competition like it's always been and is always supposed to be, not using old boats to the design of the boat or the design of the boats from the last Cup.
Yes. And to borrow somebody else's design while you're coming in.
Exactly. And not to try to do events every other month or every month or all around the world and having all these America's Cup. It's not the way it should be. It should be the America's Cup. It should be the pinnacle event, the way the deed has designed it and the way our sport is best served. That's what this thing should be, the America's Cup. Then Sail GP. Let Sail GP be Sail GP. It's a good event. They're doing 12 events a year, more than. They've got 13, maybe 14 teams next year.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Let the America's Cup be rare. Let it be really a big deal like the Olympics once every 3, 4, or 5 years. That's my rant.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
You agree?
Yeah.
Here at the finish line?
Yes. Finally. No.
Yeah.
No.
Fritz Mueller is saying, and he's down in Miami, American Magic busy aligning with the aerospace manufacturing. In fact, that is true. You'll see their base in Pensacola, as Fritz down in Florida will know this as well.
Yeah.
This has been reported on a low-key level in this country, that their base is being used by some aerospace manufacturers. They're going to have set up a facility there in Pensacola. Of course, we have the big Pensacola's Naval Air Station right there as well. So the Navy is there. With Sail GP being one design, they are still managing to evolve tech at an alarming rate. Intellectual property in the bank. Good point, Fritz Mueller. David James, maybe all the teams should sail replicas of Intrepid. I'll say that again, too, David. You remind me. But, Julia, as I said on the show some weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, how upset would all of the rest of the world been if New York Yacht Club had won in 77 with Courageous and said, okay, the next event, everybody's got to sail their same boats or boats designed to the design they just sailed here in 77. You can't use new boats. Or after 1970, after Intrepid won in 70. And Ficker was quicker. You got to all use the same boats in 1974. You can't use new boats.
Yeah.
People would be furious.
Yes.
And rightfully so.
They lost the point.
They have lost the plot.
Yeah.
And Grant Dalton, I hope you're listening to this. I hope you come to the America's Cup Hall of Fame induction at 44th Street next month. It'd be nice to see you there. But the cup is a lost puppy. I mean, it's croutonic beyond belief.
And it was allowed to be.
And it was allowed to be. Julia, that gets us to the finish line. And you like to say.
Yes. Please like, follow, and share. What you're doing is being noticed, and our broadcasts have been upgraded because of your efforts.
Just apropos of the America's Cup, good point by Robert McClellan, who is either the Commodore or the immediate past Commodore. I believe he's still the Commodore of your favorite club, Julia, the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club. And he's saying lots of 12s were recycled. Yes, great, lots of 12s, but there was no requirement, Rob, Commodore. There was no requirement that you recycle them. You could build a new boat or 2 or 3 if you wanted. And that's always been the way the Cup has run and been run. I don't have a problem, Ted Ryman, either with them using old boats. It's new tech and can be refined. Well, we'll see. I have a problem with it being mandatory, as you in the Commonwealth would say.
Yes.
Mark Holland has tickets, but he can't come to the New York Yacht Club event. That's too bad.
Oh.
Julia, that is to the finish line. And I always add to your little bit that comments are welcome, even in replay, because so many people do watch this show in replay. And as you were saying a moment ago, we so appreciate those of you who give us a few bucks a month via patreon.com. Become a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. We so appreciate your support. I usually cut the camera for and say, look at this, how nice it is that we can have this equipment here in our studio, lights, cameras, action.
Yes. And also, if you read the comments, you'll remember how terrific this audience is.
And how terrific Joe Holtzman is.
Yes.
Up in Colorado, Estes, Colorado, to say great show and great commentary. Thank you, Joe. You're very kind. Thank you also to those who give us audio, video, and images for today's show. There's the list, and then some. Much appreciated. And I didn't get everybody's name in there, but thank you especially to Rick Bannerow and to Peter Taylor for that stuff from the 6 meters. We'll have more of that on Friday in the 6 meters. Julia?
Sir?
Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm always enjoying and enthused about the FOSI.
Fishbeck has a 2025 team list for Bermudas. What is that team list for, Tom? Is that for something down in SoCal? Is that for team racing somewhere? Not sure what that's for. Interesting list of great yacht clubs, though. Thanks to all of you. Thanks, Alistair. We'll have an AAAA from Alistair on Friday.
Oh, good.
We will. And we hope you have a great rest of your week, wherever in the world you are. We hope you can go sailing. And if you can, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. See you Friday. Ciao for now. Yeah, Tom Fishbeck was saying that is the Newport Harbor Yacht Club's global team race coming up. Great list of clubs. Thanks, Tom.